The Necromancer clan Hecata is being introduced in the Cult of the Blood Gods book, and I am here to tell you all the different variations on necromancers and their powers, where they come from, a little bit of the lore, a little bit of the mechanics, and what you will be able to do as a Hecata necromancer vampire in 5th edition. It's a very exciting book. So let's start with all the different bloodlines that we will be able to pick from and customize our characters with when we go into the campaign with our new Hecata vampire, because they as in Onyx Path, have been kind enough to give me an advanced look at the bloodlines, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's a very clever way of doing it, because if you're familiar with the Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition system, there is a background element to your character that you can use called lore sheets, and instead of making a billion different clan variations and different rules to stack on top and, you know, changing up the abilities and disciplines just by rote, you can customize your vampire at the storyteller's discretion by using a lore sheet, which is a kind of variant on that idea called a bloodline. So if you've seen the descendant of Helena or Karl Schrecht from the core book, it works like that. You are a descendant of Baron Samedi, you are a descendant of the Cappadocians, you are a descendant of the Giovanni family bloodline, and it gives you very, very cool specialized abilities that come from the concepts that are behind those family bloodlines. All of the Hecata have access to Auspex, Fortitude, and Oblivion as per normal. If you are playing a bloodline, then that changes at the storyteller's discretion. If you're from the Giovanni, you can customize replacing Auspex with Dominate. If you're from the Samedi, you can replace Auspex with Obfuscate, because they used to be hideous and sneak around. If you are from the Lamia, you can replace Fortitude with Potence, and the Nagaraja can replace Fortitude with Dominate. So there's a lot of customizable elements to playing a Hecata vampire. So let's go through all of the different lore sheets that you can use to vary your character when they're a necromancer, because the Hecata are now a vast family brought together and basically independent of the Camarilla or the Anarchs or the Sabbat. They have their own stuff going on, and together they have protected themselves from even some of the worst aspects of the vampire world, not even being affected by the beckoning, because possibly they have killed all their elders. So no one is really pulling them away from their normal lives to go and fight in the Gehenna War in the Middle East. There's a lot of very cool things about them. So what can you be? Well, if you are interested in having your surname be Duncern, you can be from the heritage of a family of Scottish bankers and merchants called the Duncern. They basically get abilities that are money superpowers. If you want to play as a character that has the rosebud cheat from The Sims, that can be you. You literally have a variety of extra backgrounds to select from, such as money obfuscates. You can create alternate identities for yourself just by being rich. You can get extra dice for just having the best quality stuff. You can afford to add or take away dots from your Hecata clanmates in resources. You can take money from them, you can give them, I mean, it'll piss them off, but where's the fun in giving money away? You can move money around just by being the most powerful banker in the city. And I should mention that all of these lore sheets imply a certain animosity between various family parts and members of the Hecata Clan, they have spent hundreds of years trying to kill each other off and take the advantage from each other in varying ways, and have been oppressed and, been the underclass of under different people and for different reasons. So they all hate each other, but they've bound together as a family for protection and power. But I think it's really cool because in this lore sheet it says you can do what you do best as a Dunsern, and that is bleed people dry. And this time, they don't need to answer to the fucking Giovanni to do it either. Everyone hates the Giovanni, and I love it. Oh god, they're gonna have an awful time. Right, you could be of the bloodline of Tenochtitlan, who were Aztec necromancers. They were amazing at what they did. And so when the Spanish arrived, the Giovanni who came with them took control of their family and named them Pisanob. Their abilities are about being amazing at necromancy. If you do a ritual, you can get extra dice or just extra successes on the completion of it. You can also hide. You have a history of being hunted down, so planning ahead and re-rolling skill checks just to make sure you survive are improved for you. Or, to really bring that history around, the leader, Poctli, who sacrificed themselves to the Harbingers of Skulls to help bring the Pisanob into the Hecata family, now their leadership position is empty. Maybe you can fill it if that's something you're interested in bringing into your campaign. That is the most expensive, but it does put you next in line for the leader of the Pisanobs. Descendants of Baron Samedi allows you to be in tune with rot and decay and kind of being gross, because this one lets you literally disguise yourself as a specific corpse that you have come in contact with. You're like, that dead guy over there, I'm just going to lay on the floor and pretend to be dead and look like them for some reason. I can't think of any way that this can help you, aside from, I don't know, if you get shot and you pretend to be dead, it could help. But I don't know. And has anyone got any ideas for that in the comments? It's very cool, but I don't know how it could turn up in a campaign. This corpse-like quality can also manifest itself as the ability to take damage and not care about it. Because if you've played the game, then you will know if your health track fills up, you take -2 dice to whatever you're doing physically. Not so if you're part of the Baron Samedi bloodline. However, if you're looking to step up politically, if you're looking to inherit really cool abilities, you could try and don the silk hat. You can choose to be a vampire that is next in line to the barony. The person who will, if they step up, inherit the enemies and possibly the abilities of the Baron, which is kind of cool. Now, if you've played Bloodlines, then you will know the Nagaraja are creepy, cannibalistic, horrific, spooky weirdos, and some of them have joined the Hecata Clan. That means that you can inherit their abilities, which includes the ability to take sustenance from gnawing on people's skin. Yum! Or because you've spent a lot of time murdering and eating people, you get bonuses to planning and executing a murder, which I guess is helpful if you're a vampire, but it's not something that I expected to see in a lore sheet. Very cool though. Or you could be on the opposite side of that, hunting down murderers and getting advantages because you know the serial killer mindset, which I think is very cool because we've all seen Mindhunter, and I love that show. So being able to hunt down and kind of, blur the line between serial killer and an investigator, very, very cool idea. And one thing I think people will be interested in is the combination of the Cappadocians and the Harbingers of Skulls. They have been kind of melded in this one Harbingers of Ashur bloodline lore sheet, which lets you don the masks of either your ancestors if you are holding a grudge, or the simple ash wood masks, which lets you make one of your touchstones dead, and if anyone touches that corpse or messes with it, then you are going to be very, very angry, and you can take stains that way. But they are being studied by you. It's very, very cool, and I think all of these really add to the roleplay. Or you could just take an obsidian mask and get extra dice to resist the physical control of your shell, but if it's a ghost doing it, you're not so lucky. There's a lot of ground to cover here, but we're in the final stretch. There are 3 more bloodlines. That is the Puttanesca, who are the criminals, the Giovanni, who are the creepy incest family, and there are the Gorgons. If you're looking to get political favors from your family, if you're looking to bind a specific spectre to your service that will hate your guts but do whatever you say, then that is the Giovanni. They're the ones for you. You can be a member of the most numerous family in the Hecata, and that will come with significant advantages. The Puttanesca are on the slimier side of things, so if you want to up your political game by just convincing everyone that that person you hate over there deserves a beatdown, you can do that. Or if you're getting some heat from above, you can show your fealty, your subservience to them, which just kind of gets them off your back. The flavor text for the Puttanesca is great, by the way, because it implies that when mafia-style accusations start flying around about the Hecata in Elysium, the savvy Hecata just go, someone's been watching too much Godfather, and then they go home and they're like, what have the Puttanesca done now? What is going on? And finally, the Gorgons Bloodline, the Lamia, who had the ability to bite people and infect them with a disease. That is something that you can now inherit. You can give them a disease, or you can inflict penalties on them by changing the resonance of their blood. There's a lot going on with them. They are Bahari, and you can control your beast and change the result of your messy critical to a normal critical if you're in combat. Or, if you're looking to live up to the name, you can inherit the Medusa's gaze and freeze people for a scene. There's so many cool things that just add to the roleplay opportunities, and I'm really looking forward to implementing these in my own campaign, however they turn up. And now onto the Oblivion abilities and the necromantic rituals that come with them. And that includes their Oblivion powers. So they are all centered around death, necromancy, and ghosts, and sometimes undeath. It's really, really cool. They have all sorts of abilities, and they are entirely different from the La Sombra abilities that you will see in the Chicago by Night book, which I also quite enjoy, and I'm going to do a review of that at some point. Anyway, the uses of Oblivion vary. Whether you are interested in hunting down ghosts, you can find the things that tie them to this world. You have the ability to enhance your Auspex vision with the seeing the auras of the objects that are important to specific ghosts. So if you're hunting down a ghost to do your bidding, you can find a fetter, which is something that was important to them in life and is instilled with an aura of happiness or sadness or decay or life. And you can use that to later control them or contact them, because messing with a thing that binds ghosts to this world is a very good way of either annoying them or getting their attention in some respect. You can also do amazing things. So a little bit of background on this, or this is my imagining for why the Hecata have this particular ability. The old necromancers from the ancient Greek and Roman period were essentially oracles. They used the entrails of the dead to predict the future. They spoke to ghosts. They summoned the dead, because the dead were thought to have a specific understanding of the future because they didn't exist in the real world. They went to the afterlife, and ghosts weren't really tied to a particular time. So, I feel like the old way that necromancers used to live in society and peddle their beliefs and their abilities to various people that were interested in knowing the future gives the fatal precognition ability to the Hecata, where you can just straight up predict the death of a non-vampire character who is just probably strolling around minding their own business, or if you hate them, I guess you could stalk them and take a look at them. You can predict how they will die, whether it is in 2 minutes or 2 decades. You will tell how they die, and it's not impossible to avoid it, but the cost can be high. The mechanical implications of this mean that literally every dice roll they do becomes more difficult when they're trying to avoid their death, until the prophecy is fulfilled and they meet a grisly demise, or they avoid it. Or, I guess, you stop playing. Whichever happens first. Because we all know that getting people together to play TTRPG is more difficult than any objective that you will try and complete in a vampire game. And I don't want to go into super detail with all of these, because once you have the book, you'll understand them way better than I can ever explain all of these powers. However, if you want to rot and decay all of the things in your aura, then there's a way of doing that. If you want to stop people cheating fate and unmend broken bones, reinfect people with illnesses, or spread a plague, these are all amazingly kind of death thematic abilities that you will be able to do. You can even, at your height, murder someone by destroying their spirit. There's very, very cool things you can do. And if you are so inclined, there are ceremonies. These are like blood rituals, but for necromancy, that you can do to create varying strengths and levels of zombies. Basically, bring someone to life to sweep your floor. Or you could bring a shambling horde back from the dead to attack your enemies or defend your haven. Or if you're less inclined on going the most direct zombie horde route, then it is possible to create like the Thing from the Addams Family, but it can spy on your enemies. There's like awesome zombie necromancer abilities. Or, you know, if you're not so interested in real life fleshy things, then you can do horrible things to ghosts. You can pull them from the underworld, you can bind them to your will, or if, I don't know, you're completely self-destructive, you can let one inhabit you to get bonus on your physical abilities at the cost of maybe it takes over your body. I don't know, there's a lot of very costly abilities in this, because obviously if you take control of a wraith, a spectre, a ghost, I don't know, they all have different names but varying abilities in this. Specifically, they have like a list of different ghosts in this book, which is very cool. But I'm getting ahead of myself. If you take control of a ghost, they're not going to be happy about it. They will probably want to try and like take revenge on you, whether it ends in your death or someone you care about disappearing. I don't know, but it's not good and they won't like you. But really, having a ghost spy or someone to do your bidding, or, you know, possessing a mortal and inhabiting them with a ghost, that's really cool. Anyway, the ultimate expression of these Oblivion ceremonies, I feel, is the ability to actually enter the underworld. If you need to go and find a ghost, if you need to escape, then you can take yourself and your coterie there and live in the underworld, the Shadowlands as it's sometimes called. It is related to the Abyss, but it's not quite the same place. This is where the ghosts go, and once you're there, vampires are no longer the top of the food chain. It's very dangerous, but it could save your unlife. Very cool, and it is actually kind of related to some of the lore, whereby the antediluvian of the Cappadocians and the Harbingers of Skulls asked all of them to come together for a party, basically. A party in the underground city of Kamakil, trapping them all there. They got stuck, they had problems, but by transporting themselves through and hiding in these Deathlands, they managed to avoid a horrible fate. But Now they're back and they're angry. Maybe you are a really lovely necromancer and people come to you because, oh no, a loved one's died. They give you the body and you're like, don't worry, I will bring them back. And certainly you can. They will definitely get up and start moving around, and they will be alive. But they might not be exactly how they were remembered, because you do this in the Lazarine blessing ceremony by getting a wraith that might not be theirs and plugging it in. There you go. Technically, they're on their 2 feet, so were they ever really dead? Who knows? But it's morbid, it's very cool, and I think that this can all contribute to a very interesting roleplay experience. All of these allow you to interact with the characters and NPCs of a campaign in really cool ways, because everyone suffers sadness and loss, and you can be there to either take the advantage of it or, take pity on them and sort of help them out. What I'm really interested in knowing is the kind of vampire that you're going to build from all these bloodlines and abilities. What sort of thing do you want to go with? Is it a necromancer? Is it a ritualist? Is it someone that will use their powers to decay their enemies, or just move money around and make them poor and destitute? I don't know. It's going to be a really good time, and there's some things that I would criticize about this, such as the Oblivion ceremonies being stuck to having prerequisite powers, which limits what you can do, but it does make sense in some ways, because if you're going to bind a ghost to you to make them do things, then you're probably going to need the ability that lets you find the fetter, the thing that binds them to this Skinland world. Then there's probably reasoning behind it. I haven't really looked into it too much, so I really would enjoy it if you told me about the vampire Hecata clan that you want to make, and liking the video, because if you've enjoyed it, then that helps me out. I've been having a great time, and it will let me know that you want more of this. So subscribe if you want more vampire and role-playing content. But until next time, don't die. Goodbye.